Chris Kelly here with EFT Tapping Solutions. Today we are going to dive right in with an emotional issue that I had yesterday. Before I begin, I'd like to say that we generally categorize issues as symptoms, then we have emotional issues, we have events, and then we have limiting beliefs. And here's a little secret. Limiting beliefs is redundant. Every belief is limiting. But we're not going to have a philosophy class today, so I'm not going to cover that right now. But I'm going to cover an emotional issue today, and this was, yesterday I was very angry at my mother. This brings up another topic that is, it's okay to be angry at the people that you love. I love my mother dearly. Everything is great between her and I, but as I'm sure you know, you get angry at people that you love, and that's okay. So I want you to go ahead and just understand that if you get angry at someone, the best thing to do is to not say anything and just walk away. Perhaps do a little stress relief meditation, as I talked about in another video, and then do some tapping. It doesn't do a whole lot of good to be angry at a person and voice those concerns, because then they either become angry back or they become extremely passive. And that's not a great way to communicate. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I'm going to give you a little bit of background in regards to this issue. Okay, my mother needs to put my father in a assisted living long-term memory care facility. This has been going on roughly for about 4 years now. She's having difficulty making this decision. Okay, so yesterday I was on the phone with her, and with our general most pressing issue, as I've talked about in other videos, you need to try and be specific. So the specific issue for me yesterday was, I was talking to my mother. She had asked me a question, and when someone asks you a question, you try to reply with an answer. And as I started to reply, she started talking again and wanted to talk right over me, which she did. Okay, that made me very angry, mostly because I had a limited time frame. I was trying to get on with some clients, and I was frustrated with that. So I'm going to go ahead and just start doing the tapping process. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop, and then I will talk, because I'm trying to explain this to you, but I'm really explaining it to a computer right now. So I'm trying to play both parts of the conversation here. So my most pressing issue is, I'm extremely angry at my mother for that phone call yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and that's my most pressing issue. I'm going to rate this. It's pretty intense. At the time, it was an 8 or a 9. I was not happy. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start with our little shoulder shrug here to try and relax. I'm going to go ahead and do my setup statement. So I'm going to tap on my hand. I'm left-handed, so if you're right-handed, you want to go ahead and tap on your right hand. So even though I'm extremely angry at my mother for that phone call yesterday, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm extremely angry at my mother, I completely accept myself. Even though I'm extremely angry and frustrated with my mother, I deeply love and completely accept myself. Oh, I'm so angry with my mother. She talked right over me. I'm so angry with my mom. Angry with my mother. Angry with my mother. Still angry with my mother. Angry with my mother. Angry with my mother. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and rate this again. We're probably at about a 7 right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap right through this again. I'm so angry with my mother. I don't know why she cannot listen. She just talks right over me. It just makes me really angry. I'm just really angry with my mom. Angry with my mom. Angry with my mom. Angry with my mom. Okay, I think the intensity's dropped a little bit. We're down to about a 5 or a 6. Now, during this process, when you're doing the tapping, or I'm walking you through the steps of the tapping, what I'm going to do is probably ask you some questions. And one of those questions would be, what else is going through your mind? I'm focusing on tapping on these points, and I'm thinking in regards to being angry at my mother, but other items come up. One of those would be that, this has been an ongoing concern with my mother, that she doesn't want to listen. She just likes to talk. And I understand that, but she needs to listen, especially when she's asked me a question. So I'm thinking about this, and I'm trying my best to not be angry back at her. So we're going to do some more tapping on this. I'm still angry with my mother. I'm still angry with my mother. I'm still angry with my mother. I don't know why my mother just won't listen to me. I'm still angry with my mom. I love my mom. She drives me crazy. I love my mom. She drives me crazy. I love my mom, but I'm still angry with her. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take a deep breath there and rate this. And now starting to come down. And when you start to do this, you'll feel your body relax. You'll feel your breathing change. Hopefully you'll feel a little more compassionate, and you'll understand that this is anger towards myself. I'm frustrated that she's not the way I want her to be. And things don't always work out that way with us. Okay, so some of the symptoms here are her procrastination. Some of the emotions are my anger towards her. One of the events that triggered this was the phone call yesterday. And some of the beliefs here is that my mother has always been right. And I think if we have a good, loving relationship with our parents, most of us look up to our parents. And especially when we're children, we realize that, our parents are the ones who taught us the way and the behaviors that we are now. But we have to understand that they're not perfect. Okay, this is getting into the limiting beliefs, and it's a difficult one, but we have to kind of understand that mom's not perfect. So as I'm tapping through these, I'm angry at my mom, I have some of these other thoughts that start to run through my head, okay? So I wrote notes, and that's why I want you to have a notepad. So you have your notes over here. So when you start to feel a little better, take a look at your notes and say, okay, mom's trying her best. Okay. And let's look at that. Let's look at some of the things that my mother has to deal with in this relationship with my father. I live 250 miles away from my mom, so it's not like I can just zip down there and address and work with her on every issue, okay? Some of the issues that are going through my head that I need to understand when I'm being angry at her is that my mom is trying her best, okay? She has some very difficult decisions. First, assisted living and long-term memory care is extremely expensive. Okay, so she has financial concerns. Second, she's worried that my father is not going to be happy there. Third, she's wondering how to get him down there. Fourth, okay, let's say she gets him down there and everything's going well. What is she going to do? Now she's going to be all alone. They live up in the woods in a small town. She doesn't have anybody to really visit with. So do I really want to, as troubling as my father is and bothering her, and he does, but that's just his condition with advanced dementia, is it better to just keep putting up with it and trying to be the home health care provider, or is it, do I have to put him in a home? So these are extremely difficult questions. And then we can start tapping on all of these things, like procrastination. I procrastinate also. My mother's procrastinating on this. Why does she keep doing this? And then you can tap through these meridian points. If you don't know what the meridian points are to tap on, I have created other videos that show where to tap, okay? Now, if we move on to another segment of this, such as, let me look at my notes. We talked about that. Let's talk about my impatience, okay? This is another frustration. This also ties into the anger I have towards my mother. I'm extremely impatient with her at this point. I've been dealing with this for about 4 months, and she's kind of dragging her feet because of all the different things that I've mentioned earlier. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start with the setup statement on the karate chop point. Even though I'm impatient with my mother, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm extremely impatient with just about everything, I deeply and completely accept myself. I love and accept myself completely, even though I'm extremely impatient. I'm very impatient. I need to work on being more patient. Very impatient. Very impatient. Very impatient. Very impatient. Very impatient. I need to work on being more patient. My patience is at an all-time low. I need to work on patience. Okay? Now I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to scale that again. I just realized that I forgot to scale that at the beginning, but that was probably very high. That was probably a 7 or a good 8, because I was extremely impatient with my mother, and this is the way our brain works a lot of times, at least with me, is that we have anger, we have frustration, and there's like a breaking point when it finally comes out. That means that it's kind of been building up for a little while, and then the bubble kind of bursts. And that's what happens with me and my mother yesterday. And I had actually speak to her twice, and I just was very direct and blunt with her on the second phone call and just kind of bulldozed her over because I was very impatient, okay? The impatience, this is my issue, okay? These are my issues. It's my anger towards my mother. I'm angry because she's procrastinating. I'm impatient. There's this cycle going on between the two of us, okay? So with a lot of issues that you're dealing with, this is exactly the way the tapping sequence will go. I will listen a great deal. I will ask you questions. Well, first, I will ask you your story. I'll spend a lot of time trying to get as much information in regards to the issue you have, is just get that out. If it takes 15 or 20 minutes, then it's going to take 15 or 20 minutes. If it takes longer, it takes longer. And then we're going to go ahead and pick your most pressing issue, and then we're going to work through that issue, and then I want to see what you're thinking. I want to see how you feel. I want to see if you've kind of cut those emotional ties to what's going on. So we're going to go through that, and then I'll ask you more questions, and we'll tap through some other issues. Like I said, this is not the most simplest process to go through. It works, and it works excellent, but it takes some time, and it takes a lot of tapping. I'm an experienced tapper. I've been doing this since 2004. So yesterday, after this phone call with my mother, I sat down and I tapped through this for 15 minutes straight on all these issues. It first started with my anger because I was angry. Okay, then I looked at my mother's procrastination, and then I kind of resolved through that a little bit of why she's procrastinating. And then I looked at my impatience of, well, perhaps you need to do a little more yourself as opposed to putting the complete burden on your mother. The event, well, we've had several events. She called me on our anniversary back in December, and that's when it really started of my getting slightly angry with my mother and trying to help her, and her dragging her feet or resisting help. And then we have the limiting beliefs of, well, you know, mom's always been know-it-all, and she's always had this attitude, so she can just deal with this herself. You know, I'm trying to help her. She doesn't want to listen. She just talks over me, and that's yesterday the main issue. But see, that wasn't really the main issue 3 months ago. It's this whole issue of dealing with my father and trying to get him in a long-term memory care home. So hopefully that helps. I don't edit these videos. I just bulldoze right on through them. So I probably make some mistakes, and you'll see some mistakes in my previous videos, but hopefully you can understand the message that I'm trying to convey. I'm trying to let you look at the process and understand this. It's difficult for me because I'm trying to explain both sides of the conversation here to you. So give me a call. My number is 1-702-203-5670. And speak to Chris Kelly, especially if you're local here. We can do this in person, or we can do it on Skype. So I think we covered enough topics today. I'm going to create a lot more videos in regards to actual issues. We will cover physical pain. We will cover phobias. We will cover addictions. I live in Las Vegas. A lot of people like to drink a lot, gamble a lot, and use other substances that are not legal. We will address anxiety. We will try and lower your stress level. And what we need to do is get real specific. So this process really does work. I promise you that. And I hope you have a good day. And that's all for today. Thanks. Take care. If I can shut this thing off.